who's having a worse week? Liverpool, who just got knocked out of not one, but 2 tournaments, or Athletico Madrid, who just saw their Champions League dreams scoffed out of the air by a double-touch penalty that will go down in history as one of the most controversial calls of all time. All that and more on this week's Fullest piece. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Pete, how we doing today?
Welcome back to another week of the pod.
I feel like one of us needs to change. This feels a little awkward.
I don't. What are you talking about?
I feel like who put this on first? I mean, one of us has to change, right?
I don't know what you're talking. Again, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're alluding to. I don't know what it could be.
We're not matching at all. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. Go ahead.
I was here first. I don't know how to tell you this.
Oh, for sure.
You know, or maybe the stars align, just like for Newcastle. Stars align.
Stars align to help Liverpool just cap off the worst week in the last year for sure.
Oh, so if anyone doesn't know why Liverpool's having a bad week, number one, have you been living under a fucking rock? Two, they what looked like, I was thinking about this earlier today, what looked like could be a memorable season for Liverpool all went down the fucking toilet within a span of like 5 days.
Being on track for a quad is crazy in the first place.
In the running for an unorthodox treble of the Carabao Cup, the Premier League, and the Champions League. So basically, I mean, if we fast forward to Tuesday, or rewind back to Tuesday, they were completing the second leg against PSG. They were at home against an Anfield crowd. You know, a lot of people will probably think that, you know, that Anfield crowd is intimidating. Probably thrashed them, you know, Mo Salah hitting some goals and just the floodgates opening. But this PSG team, man, I think they thoroughly outplayed them across the 2 legs, and they scored early, which was great because that helped get a monkey off their back, and they showed that they can score here. I think the final aggregate should have been, you know, heavily in PSG's favor if it wasn't for the heroics of Alisson.
I mean, I said it before when we were talking about this matchup. I had a feeling PSG might come out swinging. I feel like this side, like, people are looking at that Liverpool team, which, to be fair, is a monster side right now. But I feel like just because, like, the poor form that PSG, we've seen them have at times, I don't know. That front 3 alone is just so scary. The fact that they walked away from this isn't the most shocking thing in the world to me.
Yeah, I counted it. I got it wrong. I thought the momentum was on Liverpool's side. I just thought they were looking better, and I thought that, you know, eventually they would outclass PSG. I didn't think PSG was going to be a pushover, but now actually really watching PSG play, that midfield was running shit. Like Vitinha, it's a good balance. It's a good mesh of like the good qualities. They got 2 workhorse like power engines in Vitinha and João Neves. And then they got like a nice savvy vet in like Fabian Ruiz. And then Ousmane Dembele was great. Like he was finding good little pockets in between the lines. And then, you know, they could always swing it out to Barcola or Kvaratskhelia. And Kvaratskhelia had some nice one-timers that were just a smidge off. But I mean, I think this PSG team is dangerous. They're like, I would not be shocked if we see them in a final now.
I think time will tell if we end up seeing them in the final, because, I mean, honestly, the semifinal match alone for them would be either Real Madrid or Arsenal, which is definitely nothing to scoff at, to say the least. So yeah. I think that would be the real test. I think if they get past that, I think the final's theirs.
Yeah, I mean, they're playing so well, and it's a fun team. Like, I don't know. I think they're a little fun. Like they just have a good mesh of like the young like players that are aged, like, you know, there's some younger ones from like in the teenagers, but then they have like some good like veteran status in there too, and it's just, you know, they got league on straightened out, and they have a good manager in Luis Enrique, and I think that was like a defining kind of moment for PSG in terms of European nights.
I mean,
Definitely changed the vibe about them.
I mean, this will be a ball rolling moment. I think how they perform against Aston Villa will say a lot. And then if they can keep the momentum going from that, I mean, I say they have the final. Barcelona and Bayern Munich are nothing to scoff at if they can make it to the final.
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's a given that it'll be those two teams in the semis, but I think the real challenge really is Arsenal or Real Madrid in this sense.
Well, yeah, I mean they can't look past Villa. I think Villa on their day can get anyone their best shot, but
a Villa Champions League final would be crazy.
But let's I just totally unlikely out of nowhere. But let's switch the gears back to Liverpool here. So again, Liverpool were not themselves across those two legs, and like it's just kind of bled into this Carabao Cup final. So I feel like they kind of went into this Carabao Cup final like not really overly excited. They didn't take it serious. I feel like I watched it on the train back from New York, and they were just lackadaisical. They didn't have any energy. They didn't have any effort. Like Newcastle cared about this, and I know it's the Carabao Cup. It's like the ugly stepchild of all the competitions, but like it's still a trophy at the end of the day.
Trophy's a trophy.
Yeah. But I mean, Newcastle was like Isak scored. It was like back to back. Like I think Dan Burn scored right at the before halftime, and then Isak scored like right, probably like 5-10 minutes.
Half,
yeah, like
much.
5 or 10 minutes in.
And that
like,
Chise goal was pretty much just like a consolation prize. It almost felt like.
Did you say cheesesteak? Federico cheesesteak?
Chise, but I'll take cheesesteak.
Chiesa.
Chise.
Keep it in there. Federico
cheesesteak. Federico cheesesteak.
Oh man. I mean, shout out to Newcastle. 70 years they haven't had a trophy. And one of the announcers said they've actually had a lot of good like managers with like a status in the game, like especially in the 90s and like also Rafa Benitez like late in like the late 2010s and stuff. They had some good managers, never win trophies. And shout out to Eddie Howe getting it done. This like Newcastle, like I know they got everyone kind of crapped on them for the big Saudi purchase, but they haven't. They number one financially, and like all the new financial rules kind of has restricted them from like really spending the cash. But I like the build of their team. Their team is not like I love Isak, I love Guimaraes. I mean Anthony Gordon's good.
It is like a balanced team for sure, and if they can keep building on top of it, they're also like dangerously close to a Champions League spot next season. It is a fourth place race to be seen right now.
I mean, they got Champions League 2 years ago, so I mean the squad can do it. The squad can do it. It's just like,
and I mean, Isak's in the form of his life this season. He's unbelievable this season.
Yeah, I mean, Newcastle got to really push for Champions League because I feel like if they don't get it, like as hard as it will be, he will be the hardest striker to get this summer because like the only thing that can really lure him away, I feel like, is do you have Champions League and can you consistently offer me Champions League football?
Yeah. So I think he likes Newcastle, and I know they definitely don't want to be getting rid of him.
No, I mean they paid a pretty penny for him. They paid 70 million for him. I mean you could recoup that in like a pretty equal transfer fee, but
I think they'll get far more than that. In this market. I think 70 million would be a bargain for him at this point, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, you would have now. He would be $100 million player almost, or close to it, like 90 million. But yeah, I mean, I think one last thing out of this game, and I think this whole week kind of brings up some very uncomfortable conversations for Liverpool, because it kind of puts a damper on like what we talked about earlier, how it could have been like a very memorable season. Now it kind of turns into like you still won you're going to probably win the Premier League, which is on its own is like what you aim for. That's like objective number one, win the league. And it's going to be great because it'll be like their second one in 5 years, where they didn't win one for 30 years before that.
I mean, crazy. This would only be their second Premier. Like, I know obviously English titles, but their second specific Premier League era title is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, because of those Man City teams that they fought against during Jurgen Klopp, like, they should have won a couple, maybe one more, but it brings up the conversations of losing key players like Salah, Van Dijk, and Trent Alexander-Arnold.
Well, that's what I was gonna say too, because I was actually I was looking at a Reddit thread earlier, and it was like, who's your contender for Manager of the Year? And we saw there was a couple names out there, and people were definitely arguing for Arne Slot. But a lot of people are bringing up points of the fact that it's pretty much just the uninjured Klopp team, and if you take away two very key players that are probably going to be on the way out very soon, 50% is out of a contract already with Mo Salah and then Van Dijk. How well does this team perform? And because they're both, I mean, Van Dijk's still top of his game, it feels like, and Mo Salah is having just a god tier season. Like, it almost feels less the Liverpool squad and more Mo Salah is scoring and assisting, like his life depended on it.
Yeah, I mean, Arne Slot is just kind of like making just the subtle tweaks. So like the heavy metal style play that Jurgen Klopp was always accustomed for, and like, create back and forth. Like Arne Slot is kind of just tweaked it to make it a little bit more balanced. But yeah, I mean, what's going to happen with these contracts? Like Salah, Van Dijk, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Like, it seems like Trent's going to be going to Real. I mean, they hate Darwin Nunez, big flop. I mean, Luis Diaz, good player, like really good player, but he's also like
Salah.
He's 20. He's also 28. Like, eventually he's going to need to, like, if you want to move on from him and his wages. I mean, Diego Jota always seems to get hurt. He's a good squad player, but he always seems to get hurt. And like this, it's just the future of the Liverpool team is going to be interesting, something to watch for in the summer. But let's move on here to your team. Your team had a big game this weekend.
A big game, and what I would consider an absolute snooze fest. That game almost put me back to sleep after waking up at 9:30 a.m. for this. It was just sloppy. Honestly, sloppy from both sides. Chelsea had a lot of sloppy play out there. I learned apparently, which isn't shocking at all, Sanchez has the most errors as more than any Premier League keeper right now. Which, watching that game alone, it's easy to tell.
Does he really? I would have
thought than any keeper.
Damn, I would have put my boy Andre Onana up there too.
Not even it's Sanchez, and I mean, as someone who's been watching every game this season, it's apparent how much of a liability he can be. We just played. I feel like we were just playing like we didn't care. We just played sloppy. Honestly, Arsenal is a bit lucky to get away with just a draw, because I feel like they weren't top of their game either. Neither team really played well, per se. I feel like no one was really awake for this game. But the one thing that I found interesting that came out this week, we've talked about him a few times, and we keep going. Me and you even off pod keep going back and forth about it. Jadon Sancho is in the most bizarre situation I've ever seen, because now rumors are coming out that Chelsea want to pay to not have to sign him this summer after we had a loan to buy agreement. And it's just, I don't even know. I've never seen anything like this before.
Yeah,
because,
I haven't either. That's
like, I people were saying he's like a toxic dressing room. I feel like that's not the case.
We gotta cut. Yeah, I told you about this long time. I'm like, he's not as good. He's not what you think he is.
And honestly though, for me, it's like, I don't think he's the problem here. I don't think anyone is performing well. Like, it's really a team-wide situation, but if they don't want to commit that much money to him, with like his wages are high, that is the problem here. And if he's not performing to those wages, honestly, if that's what they want to do, then that's what they want to do. I'm not even that mad at it at this point. But it is just fascinating. Yeah. Like, buying your way out of having to sign someone so you don't have to deal with those wages.
So to shed some little light here for everyone. So basically, when Sancho made the switch to Chelsea in the summer, the deal was supposed to be for the season-long loan, and then an obligation to buy him for 25 million, which is, again, from what United paid for it. We paid 70 million pounds, which is about 90 million euros for him. 25 million. I mean, we're taking a huge cut from that, but still decent business if that was to still go through. But basically, what you were kind of alluding to was that there's reports that claim that Chelsea must pay the obligatory fee if they finish above 14th, which you guys will. And you guys are trying to get out of it. Now, we don't know what they would have to pay, but apparently, according to the Daily Mail, it's a significant amount of money to break those terms. I mean, like, I don't want to back. He would not work well in this. He would not work well in the current United configuration. You guys have to keep it.
I mean, I don't care either way, to be honest with you. It's not my money. It's not my. It's kind of is what it is. We need rotation players, but it's got to be a big fee to not like. It's gonna be way more than the 25 million, I think, because the thing is, we're paying the 25 million to not pay. What is he on 300,000 a week?
I don't know. He's probably close to that.
That's what the real fee is, and that's what they're gonna be looking at. Just like, do you wanna like have to deal with it? It's just crazy, like that you can even be in this kind of situation.
But
I think the problem is though is Chelsea want to offload a lot of players this season. This is where the crux is, and why I think they're doing this. Chelsea are looking to offload a lot of players and clear a lot of wage space so we can sign a proper striker. From the sound of things,
that makes
bringing on another player for 300,000 a week, who's now permanent, is not what you're looking for. Yeah.
I mean, look, it makes sense why you guys want to cut some of the fat off of your squad. I totally get it. What this sounds like to me is a situation of Jadon Sancho, like, being a just terrible professional. Like, these were some of the same. That's what it sounds like to me. Like, when you're not showing up to training as like giving it your best. Regardless of what happens on the pitch, fine. Like,
I feel like there's no talks of that though. Like, that's not the story at Chelsea. I think it's just performing. Like, it sounds like he likes it here, and it sounds like he's
who wouldn't like being 25 years old, getting paid millions, and living in London?
You're right, but the thing is, what you're implying doesn't seem to be the situation here. Like, there's no reports of that happening at Chelsea.
That's fine. There's no reports, but that was always the same. But that was always what was happening at United. Like, Erik ten Hag tried to work his tail off to like get him up to speed. He like gave him a sabbatical mid-season to like go and like get your mind straight, and here like I'm gonna give you some coaches of mine that I've worked with to like kind of like teach you kind of like what I'm expecting from you. He did that mid-season. Like, that's number one, that's unheard of. And then he comes back, and then the next season trashes him, and then destroys that whole like relationship with him, and then goes to Dortmund for the rest of the like last season. And then the same thing, it was going to be the same situation when he came back from Dortmund, and then we found this solution with you guys. So to me, it sounds like he's kind of the problem. And I think regardless of what you're hearing, if it's reported or not reported, I think sometimes it's not even about like he's causing toxicity. It could be his attitude. It could be the way he goes about things, that they're just like, we're paying a shit ton for you, and you're not doing what we're thinking is professional. I don't know.
I mean, you might be right. These are all assumptions though. Yeah. So, I mean, we won't know until they do or don't say anything with that, because like I said, there's been zero knowledge of that, at least with Chelsea. But either way, I mean, if we pay to not take someone, I gotta hear the number, because it's gonna be so interesting.
Dude, straight profit, baby, for us then.
But moving on to the rest of the Champions League recap, just to get over the other things, the big drama that came out of last week: Atleti versus Real Madrid. Second leg goes to penalties. Forget the rest of the game. It's all about the penalties here. The Julian Alvarez quote-unquote double touch. How do you feel about it?
So, I feel like it's unjust, because by the letter of the law, he does double touch it. But why I feel it's unjust is his plant foot slides, and by the angle you do see he nicks it. By letter law, fine, it's a double touch. I think it's unjustly called for because, again, his intention is not that I want to slip. He's just slipping. Like, you can't control that.
It's I feel like even that is just like the correct solution is you retake. And it's to call it no goal. And I think it's also just the drama that follows with all the comments from Madrid and how they handled it. Like, I feel like just sore winners. Just feels, I don't want to say like cheating because it's technically not.
Yeah.
It just feels so unearned.
It was weird. Yeah, it was. Well, I don't want to say unearned. It was because Atleti still did have a chance of winning in that PKs too. Like Jan Oblak stopped one of I think it was Vasquez's shot, and Llorente missed his, and on Jan Oblak also did get a hand on Antonio Rudiger's deciding one. So there was still a chance, but yes, I mean that shifted the tide.
It shifted the tides, and then it's hearing Perez come out and say how like it's always like against us and everyone's trying to like
that bullshit.
And
I
then
hate that shit.
Courtois, just biggest asshole in the game, just coming out. I can't fucking stand that guy. Forget my history with Chelsea. He seems like just the worst.
Great goalkeeper, best goalkeeper in the world.
Oh, he's like arguably like a top 5 of all time.
Yeah. But he is a real big. I didn't realize how big of an. Did you see the stuff, like, side note, did you see the stuff of like the Koen Casteels, like Belgium's #1? He retired from international football because now all of a sudden Courtois is like, I'm back and I'm going to take your #1 spot. And the Belgium FA was like, yeah, sure, take your spot back. And he's like, what the fuck is this all about?
It's that he was kind of like semi let go because he slept with Kevin De Bruyne's wife also. Can't be stressed enough.
Wow.
Like, he's a scumbag.
Yeah.
And him just coming out saying like everyone always, it's like, I guess like about like being a crybaby, like other teams being crybabies. And I'm like, the projection's crazy. You guys were crying because Vinny didn't get Ballon d'Or, which is already kind of like a fake award at this point.
Yeah, I mean,
just again, this show.
But what's crazy is like, just when you think they're fucking dead, man, they find a way to fucking advance. It's like professional wrestling. You can't make up this story.
It's getting to a point. I think they're better than them in this sense, but it's getting to the point where I'm starting to feel the same way I feel about the Kansas City Chiefs with them. I'm just fucking sick of it.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting there, but but what's crazy is they're finding like unique ways to keep advancing, and it still captivates me. Like, I'm not saying I'm hopping on the Real bandwagon, although it kind of sounds like I am, but I still find it captivating because it's like, it still feels different every time for some reason. Yeah. Like, I just think about that craziness that happened like a couple years ago with like the city, with Man City and stuff, and then like just like even the semis like last year or the year before. It's just, they find new ways to still do it, and
it's just getting frustrating. I just hate it. Honestly, the only player that I think I consistently love on that team is Jude Bellingham.
Yeah, just the passion. Yeah,
workhorse of a player, the passion. I saw a clip online of he went and tried to stop misplay from Vinny after he let the ball go, and then he just turned around and started screaming at Vinny for not getting up and going after the ball again. Like, dude's he's so athletic. He's a freak.
You know who else I like on Rails, he's totally underrated. Like, does not get talked about how key he is. Rodrigo.
Oh yeah, him too. Oh no, Rodrigo's been great.
Rodrigo's been great, but I don't feel like he gets.
I thought you were gonna say Valverde, honestly.
Well, Valverde too.
Honestly, you really could say this. This is the thing though. Like, you really could say this about any player on that team.
Yeah, I mean
the Madrid team's stacked. It sucks. They are a stacked team. Like, when you look at that on paper, it's crazy.
I guess, you know what? To answer our question about who else was having a bad week, Atletico is right behind Liverpool
Atletico's
because
having a
they got
bad week.
because in La Liga they had a 2-0 advantage over Barcelona at the 69th minute and lost 4-2.
Ugh, you simply hate to see it.
Yeah.
Now, looking at the rest of the table for the Champions League, I guess who do you see moving on to the next stages? Because for me, I think this might be the end road for Aston Villa. I think PSG is going to move on. I think Real Madrid are going to just dominate Arsenal. I can just see this not being a very uneven match. And then I think it's going to be Barcelona and Bayern. I feel like that's going to be an inevitable semifinal matchup.
Yeah. I think sorry Arsenal. Thierry Henry is not walking through those doors, so you're not going to get another performance like he did back in 2006. Yeah, I think Real's going to easily handle Arsenal. And then while beating Arsenal, they're going to speak into the ear of William Saliba and be like, hey, you like these white on whites? You look good in it. And they'll probably grab him in the summer. Next, I do think I like the way this PSG's team is playing. And I know Villa has been good in this competition. And they've played good against the big teams. I just like the way PSG's playing. The way that the front three and the midfield are playing, and the wingbacks keep pushing up too with Mendes and Hakimi. I just like the way they're playing. So I would say my picks for this on that side of the bracket: Real, PSG. The other side, sorry Dortmund, like no fairy tale run to the final this year. It would be inconceivable if they somehow make it through, but I don't see that happening. Barca's playing too well right now.
I like this Barca team. If I had to pick one team left, it's Barca that I want to see do it all, make the run.
Yeah, Bayern Inter 2010 final rematch. It's going to be tough. I actually feel like that's a 50-50 toss up. Inter right now is leading in Serie A, so they're playing pretty well. They're hitting their stride a little bit. Bayern
number ones.
Yeah. Bayern is obviously now kind of running away with the Bundesliga. I mean, I could see my problem is I can see Atleti just like, really getting stuck in it, like holding it down defensively and like nick a couple goals when they have. I probably would say Barca Bayern still, but I think that Inter team is going to be good because they have.
I think it's going to be a similar matchup to the PSG Liverpool situation. It's all going to depend on who shows up.
Yeah, I mean, like Inter has good front. They have Marcus Thuram and Lautaro Martinez. That they're great strikers. Inter's got a good defense. Bastoni, DiMarco. I mean, they got Denzel Dumfries too, but Bayern might just have too much in terms of obviously Harry Kane and Jamal Musiala, Leroy Sané. But I would not be, depending on how Inter sets up, I would tell you, don't be surprised.
I guess we'll see how these go. I mean, I'm always up for an upset. I'm always down for some surprises. So either way. But moving on to the closing remarks, some kit news for everybody. We have 3 new kit releases. And I got to be honest, all very clean. We have 2. Weird that happened twice. A Germany 125th anniversary kit and an Ajax 125th anniversary kit. If I had a nickel for every 125th anniversary kit that came out this week, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened twice. Starting with this Germany kit, I'm going to be real. This is like an instant just beauty to me. I feel like it's very simple and clean. Word to Kingdom Hearts. It has this kind of like deep navy to it. I like the kind of like underlying pattern. It's got the trefoil logo.
It's black, dude.
Is it black? It's looking blue on my screen. It looks deep navy on my screen.
It's black. I don't think it's a blue. Yeah, it's black.
You're right. It's black. It's off white and black. Either way. I mean, it's just clean.
Yep. It's sad. It's very clean. I actually saw like today Adidas released like a promotional video for it, and it was kind of cool. It was like a German factory or like lab of like trying to develop like a new kit, and Thomas Mueller was like one of the guys who was conducting like, hey, pull kits from like from the champions, and it was like all of the kits that they wore where they won World Cups, and then also the ones where they won the European Cups, and then some other cool ones too. And they threw them all in like a bin, and then they basically threw it into like a washing machine, and basically it fused all together, and then that's what you get. You get this beauty of a kit. No, it's beauty. It's a beautiful kit. It's sad it's going to be one of the last Adidas German kits that we'll get for a long time.
Nike's gonna be weird.
It is gonna be weird, and they're gonna they're gonna do a fucking ass job with it too. Maybe we don't know. We'll see.
It's a safe assumption.
But the trend right now is not great.
Moving on though to the Ajax 125th anniversary kit. This will actually be worn on March 14th, which did already pass, to celebrate though Johan Cruyff, who wore the number 14, which is fun. But this kit, honestly, I think I would put this in class. This is sick.
Yeah, this is. It's really cool when you put it up against like when you see like the really throwback photo to it, which is awesome. You can kind of see like it's pretty much an exact replica, almost. I like the added
crest in the middle.
Yeah, I do like the crest as well. The crest is very nice.
I honestly really, really love that they did the trefoil and the Ziggo sponsorship in the monochromat in the red. Like, so it's there. I do like when clubs do this. I don't love the sponsorship, but it's so unnoticeable. Like, if it was just the Adidas, it'd be so sick. Yeah. But the sponsorship, I don't think is horrendous, and it's also going to be hard to see.
Yeah, I didn't even see the Ziggo at first, honestly.
Exactly. I didn't notice it either until I blew up the photos a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think this looks awesome. I mean, it's like a timeless design.
It is a timeless design. Yeah, I like this a lot. This is definitely an absolute class.
And then the Mexico kit, their gold cup kit. I do love the centering, man. It looks so good.
They've been kind of hidden. Adidas has been hidden with the Mexico kits lately.
They really have. Honestly, you know my favorite part of this is the trim. The sleeve trim is so nice. Especially,
is nice.
I want it in the long sleeve. Like I would rock this in the long sleeve.
Mm-hmm.
It looks so sick. The design, the pattern is so nice. This is like one of Mexico's best kits ever, I think.
Yeah, they're saying it's inspired by mariachi clothing, so a little mariachi band, and I can kind of see that now as well. Like, it's really nice. I love the trim. I love the base. Love obviously we got the trefoil. I'm still like the new Mexican badge is like kind of whatever for me. I still kind of like the old one a little bit, but it's not bad.
I like this one personally. I don't know. I don't mind. Like it's not offensive to me by any means. I think it works here especially. I mean, black and gold. Like it's such a hard color combo to mess up, and they hit the nail on the head with the pattern. The trim's awesome. The devil's in the details. It's on the socks too. It looks awesome. I mean, this would be a class.
Yeah, absolute class.
But that does it for this week, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back next week as always. We will see you all next time. Mwah. Cheers, my friends.
See you guys.